Hi, and thank you for joining us. There's some optimism after the first round of peace negotiations between the United States and Iran. Vice President Vance says Iran has agreed to allow nuclear inspectors from the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency back into the country, and that inspections could resume as soon as this week. Iran's foreign minister, though, responded with, quote, "It cannot be said that negotiations on the nuclear issue have begun." Vance says he trusts actions over words. Negotiations will resume without the vice president, who is now traveling back to the United States from Switzerland.
I feel great about the progress that we made over the last couple of days. We're looking forward to going back home. It's been a very long day.
Over the weekend, fighting resumed between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. In response, Iran threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz. And then on Truth Social, President Trump threatened to bomb Iran even harder, and negotiators for the country walked out in talks in protest. In a phone interview with Fox News Sunday, Trump said he told Iran if they close the Strait of Hormuz, you won't have a country. You won't even make it back to your expletive country. Hours later, both sides returned to the table, with Vance downplaying the dispute as trash talk. CBS News correspondent Natalie is at the White House with the latest on all of these twists and turns. So, Natalie, what is the latest on negotiations, and what else did the president say today?
Hi, Lindsay. Well, this afternoon from the Oval Office, the president expressed optimism, as well as the vice president, on his way back to Switzerland, speaking to reporters and touting some of what he describes as the progress, the wins from this weekend, in his words. And that includes what he says is Iran agreeing to allowing nuclear inspectors into the country, though he also later said you can't trust anybody's words. You have to trust what they actually do. The vice president also said that a communication line will be established regarding the Strait of Hormuz to prevent any miscommunications or incidents there turning into major escalations. And there's renewed efforts to de-escalate the continued tensions in Lebanon between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah. Now, the Treasury Department, the U.S. Treasury Department, citing progress over the weekend, announced earlier today that it would be lifting restrictions and allowing Iran to sell oil during this 60-day negotiating period. And a number of lawmakers have criticized the economic relief that Iran would stand to get in the tentative agreement so far. And in the face of some of that pushback, the president and vice president said that if Iranian assets are unfrozen, they're working on a way to put restrictions on those funds so that the money would benefit the people of Iran, they say, not fund terrorism. And that's where they said that some of this money would go towards buying U.S. agricultural products, though, the details around that, Lindsay, still unclear, and we're still waiting for an official response from Iran on that piece.
Our colleague Ed O'Keefe asked the president about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's comments doubling down on their troops in Lebanon. What did he say?
Yeah, because the tensions there between Israel and Hezbollah have really complicated and in some times threatened to derail these larger peace talks. So Ed O'Keefe asked the president about the Israeli prime minister's recent statements that Israeli troops will remain in southern Lebanon. Take a listen to the exchange.
Earlier today, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his forces are not leaving Lebanon. That is a sticking point in these conversations. He said it publicly in Israel.
Well, we're going to take a look at it.
Well, what would you do to make sure that he doesn't?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver. I get problems solved real fast, including with Bibi.
Now, as part of the talks this weekend, the vice president said that one of the points discussed is a deconfliction mechanism, he says, to really try to address that regional conflict and make sure that tensions there do not derail the larger process. Lindsay.
Natalie Brand, thank you. For more on the fighting in Lebanon, let's go to CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams in Beirut.
The biggest hurdle to a peace deal with Iran may not be at the negotiating table or in the Strait of Hormuz, but here in Lebanon. So long as Israel and the militant group Hezbollah keep fighting, Iran has made it clear it will not agree to a deal. On Friday, U.S. officials said Israel and Hezbollah had agreed to a ceasefire, but the very next day, Israeli strikes killed at least 20, according to the Lebanese health ministry. Israel said it was responding to over 50 rockets launched by Hezbollah, killing an Israeli soldier. Now, Iran backs militant groups across the Middle East in places like Gaza, Iraq and Yemen. It's part of Iran's security strategy. But Hezbollah here in Lebanon is Iran's most powerful proxy. Not just a militant organisation, but a political party that runs hospitals and schools. It's also designated a terrorist organisation by the US. Israel, for its part, sees Hezbollah as an existential threat and seems to have little interest in stopping its strikes or withdrawing from the swaths of land it's now occupying in southern Lebanon. The conflict with Iran has put enormous pressure on President Trump, in large part because of soaring gas prices. But to get a deal with Iran, the US has to contend with complex, decades-long tensions in this region that seem to be intractable. Back to you.
Holly Williams, thank you.